Hey, Bublynn, coming in, crushing this art. And what is the art today? Well, I'm glad you asked. Gemini moon, Scorpio sun. So anyway, Gemini moon, if we sum this up, this is somewhat mutable. This is in itself kind of curious cat type energy, because it wants to play with things that are receptive and agreeable. It doesn't necessarily want to get burned or go into things that become one-sided like fire or earth. And it is getting sucked up into things, right? It's kind of finding the nooks and crannies and then getting lost in those and things that other people wouldn't have seen, kind of in a way. That's the mutable. Because the cardinal would be focused on bringing its thing into being. The fixed would, it would be carrying on a tradition, right? It would be like handed on something. It would be like, it wouldn't try to be bringing something into being more so, it'd like be with something. And kind of holding steady with that. Like cardinal is very much like a power, like a force, like an initial like push, and then the fixed is very much like a continuation of that, like a wave, you know so but then the mutable would be anything in that like fills the cracks. It would be the thing that gets sucked up into wherever is kind of necessary, right? Like the part that isn't necessarily initiating or carrying through. It's like, like before the next initiation, it's like when the water's receding back in, you know what I mean? It's just falling in. So it's not necessarily like a wave in itself, but it is participating in other people's waves, right? And like other waves. So that's almost like the medium is a mutable thing. So yeah, because the medium is used in whatever way that cardinal is the spirit and then fixed what the actual painting looks like, you know what I mean? So anyway, so about the mutability of Gemini, this would be like you're still acting in a relatable environment, but you're making new things happen. That's air versus water or earth. Water and earth are going to stick with the past, stick with what they know. So you're in a relatable environment where you're going to make things happen, and yeah, and you're gonna kind of attract things that you didn't know were there, right? The mutability, you're gonna kind of get sucked up into things, right? So yeah, that's kind of the curious cat energy, to where you didn't really necessarily have a motive, but you got drawn into the situation. Right now, all of a sudden, you're in this car with some guys. You don't know what they're up to, like, you know what I mean? But it all started off, at least with the Gemini moon, as something that seemed approachable, And then hey, we do have the air versus fire here, right? Hey, this is a full moon. Oh, Gemini moon, Sag sun. All right, so this would mean that we have both the active realms, right? This is an active person because we don't see water or earth. Water being receptive and earth just being dry, but both being in the past, right? So yeah. So that means that's why there's kind of the like full opposition in this too, because we have fire, which is covering the realm of like I'm gonna be active, but I'm gonna do it my way. I'm coming from spirit, like I'm coming from out there. Like I couldn't even necessarily articulate where I'm coming from, but I may see it, like I may see the path, you know what I mean? Versus Gemini is like, hey, I'm coming from here. Like I can explain to you every which way I'm going. Like these are the things that I've known. Air, these are the like this is the shape of what is, you know what I mean? That's working off of vibe. That's working off of what maps stuff out. Like things lay out according to the vibe. Like subjectivity, right? Like a tone is its vibration, but everyone could like hear it differently, or like something like that. So yeah, so that's cool. So that means this person, because it is both the mutability, they're going to get sucked up into a lot of things like we talked about, but it is going to be very active. It's going to be very new. It's going to be very generative. So the problem with this is that there's going to be this sort of like feeling that I'm acting this way and I'm coming from this way. Like I don't necessarily know how to express myself correctly, because it's like I just want to be relatable, but I find myself in all these new dry situations, right? Which like that's where it becomes hard, but this is also where it can become groundbreaking, because you can bring the new unrelatable Sag situations, right, that you got caught up in um into the relatable element, like into the home, into the dailies, right, into the what you do know, right? So this could be someone that may not be so caught up in like the enlightenment where they could actually ground it and find ways to articulate it. And there is still a lot of the mutability, so maybe this is more receptive and they're able to tell the story when it comes up. Um but yeah, there would be the element of being able to like ground the new things in a way, but if there is all this new stuff going on and it's like you want it to be relatable, but at the same time you find yourself getting sucked up into things that cause like side taking and stuff like this. So yeah. Full mutability, full moon. So if we think about for a minute the sextile, right? So Gemini sextiles the other two fire signs. So this is Aries, more independent. So it's almost like, yeah. And then we have Leo, which is also a little more independent, you know what I mean? Sagittarius, for sure. I'm not saying they're not independent, but I mean, like, they don't come down necessarily knowing what their dream is, but they discover it, I feel like, and they, like, need to in a way, maybe more than anybody else. But, like, it's almost the attracting quality and the filling in the gaps quality versus, like, the bringing in you, or also like kind of receiving you. It's almost like expanding you versus like building in on you, like refining, you know. And then so yeah, so that's probably the quality, is like between Gemini and Sag, the full moon, the opposition is like you're getting sucked up into so many things, and it's like you want to act this way, you want to act that way, but maybe it's like really hard to bring yourself into it, which brings that opposition to where it's like you're really coming from a place where you could pick both sides, but you're on one side, right? So it causes this thing to where like versus Leo, you would act in a way where it would actually be something maybe that you would have had a little bit of more precedence in and say in. Same with Aries, whereas this is something that you didn't even know was going to happen, and now you're like having to talk a battle for, you know. So yeah, and then if we think about the rulership too, this is Mercury, Jupiter. So this is really coming from a place where you're just learning about the forms you can take, and that is so Gemini. But this is more conceptually, right? This is like so awesome, because this is like, I love words, right? And I love dreams, and well, I love like painting with words. So it's like you could like utilize that, you know what I mean? That's like a lot of like, I guess, where you're coming from. And so then how you're acting with the Sag Sun would more so be the Jupiterian element, which more so be the vibe, right? So you find yourself not necessarily coming from a place where you like have a direction to utilize, but you have this ability to utilize words, but then you're acting in a way where you get caught up into things one-sided and really have to learn what you resonate with, right? Are you on this side or are you not? And you didn't even necessarily know that this was something you had to pick a side on, you know. That's Sag. So yeah. So that's how that would come out. So then you, like, it seems like this person, because there's so much trial and tribulation between that, because it's like they're coming from a place when really it's like, dude, the fuck, why sides, you know? It's like both have a point. I could make an argument for both, but then it's like, well, who are you, right? If you're both of these, then like, what is your individuality? And you got to find a way to bring that out, and that would be like the utilizing both elements, right? Which would bring this, instead of like the corruption, like the banging heads, it would become like a utilization where, hey, like I'm bringing this into what's relatable, but I'm also like, and I'm like arguing, like I know both sides, but also with my actions, when I go on one side, I show that. Like maybe you exalt the fact that, hey, there are both sides, because you do something that is so one-sided and maybe like on the edge or fringe, I don't know. But hey, that's good. That's awesome. Love you guys. So that's Gemini Moon, Sag Sun, Bublynn, Sitra, Beach, out.